World of Warships by Wargaming. I wanted to take a look at the World of series of games for a very long time now, since these games understand gameplay design a lot better than, other similar games. And it just so happens that Wargaming reached out to me to do just that. So this is a sponsored video, and if it does well, it will help me take a much closer look at the game I am very interested in covering. But until then, World of Warships. It's a free-to-play, team-based naval combat game where two teams attempt to bombard the life out of each other with shells and torpedoes, but it is as much about big guns as it is about tactics. In terms of content, this game has plenty. Just in terms of in-game nations, there is Japan, USA, USSR, Germany, UK, France, Italy, Pan-Asia, Europe, Netherlands, Commonwealth, Pan-America, and Spain. God, that's a lot. As for ships themselves, the game focuses on vessels from the first half of the 20th century. There are battleships, cruisers, destroyers, submarines, and aircraft carriers. Although in some cases you can even find hybrids. The ship types is something World of Warships handles really well as the game modes, which are plentiful. I will talk about this later, but other games really struggle in this regard. Now, if this sounds like something you would be interested in, this is the perfect time to get into or come back to World of Warships, as there is a big event going on celebrating the 250th anniversary of US independence. This event will last until July 15th, and during it you can complete challenges to unlock narrative stages, historical paintings, and reward videos related to American independence, as well as in-game items, of course. If you just play one battle while the event is live, you will get a free anniversary bundle with a camo, a destruction effect, and other goodies, while 10 battles will let you choose a free ship: South Carolina, St. Louis, or Wickes. On top of all this, both new and returning players can use the USA250 invite code or click the link in the pinned comment to get 1 million credits, 7 days of premium, 500 doubloons, a camouflage, as well as 2 premium ships, USS Albany and USS Smith. So with this out of the way, I want to talk about the game design of World of Warships. This game has been out since 2015, so it is 11 years old, yet it's still going strong and receives monthly updates. I believe this is no coincidence, as unlike many other games, this one gives players a choice. If you look at not just the free-to-play combat simulators, but also most multiplayer games in general, you will, and probably already have, noticed quite an unfortunate trend: the obsession with pure PvP. For some reason, tons of multiplayer games these days will only ever feature PvP and force you to always play against other players. Now, this in itself is not a tragedy. Some games only make sense when playing against other people, so it can be fine. However, often you will see games with an amazing premise that you would love to get into, but they are PvP only. And not everyone is built for PvP, as oftentimes the skill floor to start having fun is so high that it's just not worth it for someone with limited time for games. In such cases, you have two options: either give up on a game that you would really like to play, or suffer for dozens or even hundreds of hours just to eventually start having fun. Neither of those are great. In case of free-to-play games, they will sometimes allow you to play against bots, but also annoyingly disable progression in such modes to force you to go into PvP to unlock new things. This is a tiny bit better, but still quite bad. So, here comes World of Warships, and thankfully this game, unlike many others in this genre, actually allows you to play and experience everything in PvE, if you so desire. In fact, when it comes to game modes, half of them are purely PvE focused. There is the simple co-op battle, with 9 players facing off against a team of 9 bots. There is also the asymmetric battle game mode, where a team of 5 players goes against a team of 12 bots, but there's a catch. The AI ships will always be worse than yours, so you will be outnumbered, but certainly not outgunned. The last one is operations. This is the most interesting one. Think of it as unique, standalone scenarios that you need to beat with a team of 7 players. To win, you need to complete the main objective, and those are all different. You could be defending your base from the enemy, or attacking the enemy base, or escorting friendly ships, or attacking enemy convoys, among many others. It's great. Now, the best part about all this is that if you are like me and prefer to chill, you can absolutely just play the regular co-op battles, fight AI, and still get rewards to unlock new ships. This kind of freedom is great, and this might be the only game of this genre that actually does this. So, well done, Wargaming. I salute you for actually giving your players a choice. Now, that's not to say that PvP is lacking in World of Warships. If you are the type of player who is competitive and prefers to fight other players, the other game modes have you covered. Random battles are your main 12 versus 12 PvP mode, where to win you either destroy the enemy team or capture and hold specific points on the map long enough to win on points. If you are interested in climbing the ranks, you can try the 7v7 ranked battle mode that matches you with players of similar skill and allows you to show off your rank if you manage to climb high. Alternatively, there is the fast-paced brawl mode with very small team sizes that vary from 1 to 5, which just might be your thing if you prefer more dynamic gameplay. So the point I'm trying to make here is that this game supports both the PvE and the PvP modes and gives you a choice, which is so rare these days. If you want, you can chill and fight AI. If you want, you can go full competitive and fight players. The freedom is awesome. The other point I wanted to bring up is how this game incorporates different ship types into its gameplay loop. And there is a lot of incorporate here, with battleships, cruisers, destroyers, aircraft carriers, and submarines. Now, if you look at other similar games, they will often add a lot of playable vehicles, but then have absolutely no idea what to do with them. It's great if your game has a whole assortment of playable stuff, but it's not so great when that stuff is not included into the gameplay loop at all and ends up being basically useless. World of Warships, on the other hand, actually makes an effort to make every single ship viable, since every ship type has its own dedicated role that is actually useful to your team and contributes to the outcome of the match. Battleships are quite self-explanatory. They're huge, hard to kill, have the biggest guns and armor on the block, and are generally cool. However, even though they can send a deadly salvo 20 kilometers away, they are insanely slow and blind. You might be tempted to sit back and snipe, but that requires your team to spot enemies for you, as well as protect you from sneaky flankers that might slam a handful of torpedoes in your side without you even noticing. Alternatively, you might go straight into the enemy team and act as a tank for friendlies, which they will certainly appreciate, but that puts you at an even greater risk of getting torpedoed or bombed because of your low speed. Once again, you need assistance to do well here. Destroyers, on the other hand, are very small and possess poor armor as well as low-caliber guns, but what they lack in firepower, they fully make up in their speed, maneuverability, stealth, and utility. You might have 10 battleships on your team with the biggest guns imaginable, but those will be all but useless unless you help them. Your high concealment and speed mean that you can quickly get into good position to spot the enemy team while remaining undetected yourself. Now, destroyers are not just the eyes of their team. If needed, they can also quickly come to friendly ships under fire and hide them by deploying smoke screens, which provide temporary safety. If that sounds boring, you can always go YOLO. If your destroyer is armed with torpedoes, you can use your speed and stealth to flank enemies and torpedo them from unexpected angles. Destroyers might be small, but they have big potential. In between those two classes are the cruisers. Not as big and powerful as battleships, but also not quite as fast as stealthy as destroyers. These are the jacks of all trades that can do most things well. While cruisers will not win a direct fight against battleships, their higher speed might make a difference if you put your torpedoes to good use. But what you should really be doing is hunting those destroyers. While they are stealthy, you can work together with a friendly destroyer to find them, or use your radar. And once you do find them, you have the perfect armament and armor to send them to the bottom of the ocean without much risk to yourself. But while cruisers exist to bully destroyers, they should be very careful not to get bullied by battleships themselves. Being a jack of all trades is a delicate dance after all. So far, it might seem like battleships have the easiest job, but that's where the aircraft carriers come into play. Carriers are essentially super long-range artillery. They hide in safe places far away and send their bombers to hunt enemy ships. And what better target for torpedo bombers than the giant, slow battleships? They may have a lot of AA guns, but if the bombers can make it to them undamaged, at least a few torpedoes will go through and deal massive damage. But that's if they make it there undamaged. You need to keep your planes away from destroyers and light cruisers, as those are fast enough to dodge your attacks while shooting down your precious airplanes. But even so, you can still engage even those if they are already occupied or damaged by sending planes with rockets instead, as those are much easier to aim even if they deal much lower damage. So then, how do you counter a carrier that sits back and sends planes at you? Well, as I've mentioned, a quick and stealthy destroyer could make it past the enemy team and torpedo the helpless carrier, but there is an even better option: submarines. Submarines are extremely vulnerable, somewhat slow, and only have torpedoes to work with. But unlike other ships, they can travel under the sea, becoming invisible to the naked eye. Obviously, they can only stay submerged for a limited time, but that can make all the difference. If you manage to sneak into the enemy backline, the carriers are easy prey, as well as the slow battleships. But eventually, you will need to surface. And that can be a problem, as if you are caught on the surface, it's likely over for you. And even if you are submerged, an enemy destroyer could find you with their sonar, or if your victims call out that they were attacked. If that happens, you are done. Destroyers will run you down, bombard you with depth charges, and finish you off once you are forced to surface. You better be careful. So that's the basic overview of how different ship types interact with each other in World of Warships. And if you were paying attention, you would have noticed that all of them have distinct roles and all of them do something to help you win. Again, this is something that is missing from other games of this genre. Oftentimes, certain vehicle classes will be simply useless or not contribute meaningfully to their team. But in World of Warships, every ship type is important in their own ways. Having this kind of core balance is so important if you want players to have fun in your game. And thankfully, they nailed it. And so this is what I wanted to talk about today. World of Warships does a very good job supporting both the PvE and the PvP modes, as well as giving every ship type a distinct role and a job to do. This is something that other developers can definitely learn from, and you can definitely enjoy. If you are interested, make sure to use the link in the description or the pinned comment to grab a lot of free stuff, if you are new or an existing player, as well as check out the in-game event for even more free stuff after 1 and 10 battles played. If you made it here, I thank you very much for watching until the end, and I will catch you in the next video.